I'm Leela Ree.
And I'm Nick B.
Listen, we're just two single girls from the City of Roses discussing all things love, lust, and perception.
And roses are a symbol of all things beautiful about love.
But as you know, love can get a little dirty. So we're here to talk about it.
Dirty Roses Podcast starts now.
Hey, I'm Leela Ree.
And I'm Nick B.
And this is Dirty Roses Podcast.
Yeah.
Go ahead, her.
Okay,
it's all you.
Oh. All right. Well, you know what? We are really happy to be here today. We've got a wonderful guest in the house. I'd like to introduce you to Heather Cain.
Hello.
Yes, and today's episode is specifically targeting those red flags. Ladies, we all have seen them. We've all tried to ignore them. But today we are going to dive into red flags, maybe some experiences we've had with them and how we handle them, really.
I was going to say, last season I didn't share a lot of stories, and this season I'm sharing stories. Yeah. So I actually have a red flag story.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Okay.
So, I was talking to a guy.
Yep.
Guy meets girl. And it was long distance because, I don't talk to anybody in town. So, yeah. Oh, you heard about me?
No. I heard about the guys in the town.
Oh, girl. Yes. Well, this guy was from your town.
So now, to be clear, her town she lives in is the D.C. area.
D.C. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So this story is about a red flag of someone you met in the D.C. area.
Yes.
All right.
So we are doing the long distance, chatting it up type of thing. I'm not dating, but we're talking, getting to know each other, doing that whole thing. And, he's talking about things that he has, that he likes. And I'm, doing my whole active listening. I'm repeating back. I'm asking questions, follow-up questions like, oh, okay, so you mentioned this. So let me ask a question about it, right? So he mentioned that he has like 5 cars. Okay, cool. I don't know if he's trying to impress me, whatever. Okay. So I start asking questions about the cars. Absolutely. Like, hey, what kind of cars is it?
What condition are you
right?
buying?
So I did hear Wi-Fi, and he was handicapped.
They're all special need cars.
I don't think he wasn't special. He was special
need cars.
He wasn't special needs like the legitimate special needs. He was just special needs like he just was special. But nonetheless, I asked about the cars, and he told me about 2 of them. And I asked, so you got 3 more cars. I said, tell me about them. I want to know like what kind of cars they are. Like, I'm just asking questions. I'm not really clocking his pockets. Girl, when I tell you he lost his shit on me, like for real, he was like, why you got to ask so many questions?
Why you told me about the 5
cars? All these questions.
That part, because I was like,
asking all these questions.
Right. Listening that song. But legit, we had like a 2-day argument about the fact that I asked follow-up questions and that he felt like I should have been okay with the vague answers that he gave me.
I don't like that.
And I was really disturbed by that because I said, I'm actively listening. I'm showing interest in the things that you're interested in. And I want to make sure that you know that I heard you and I want to talk about stuff that you like. So that was my red flag with him. And clearly that did not go anywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You got green flag. He gave red flag.
Thank you. I appreciate that acknowledgement because I really be like looking at myself in the mirror like, what did you do? I'm in the mirror like, you're okay. You did the right thing.
Heather, you ever had that scenario where someone has really had issue with you questioning the information that they're giving you?
Okay, so quiet as is kept, which is not so quiet. I'm a therapist.
All right.
So I ask questions. It's what I do naturally. I've always asked questions. So when I get with a man or meet a man, I ask questions because I need to know all the answers.
Right.
Because if there's a red flag, I'm deucing out. So have I been in the situation and have people gotten mad? Absolutely. And have they stopped talking to me? Absolutely. Because they always say, I don't want to be interviewed. Well, sir, how am I going to get to know you? Like, we got to ask questions, right?
So when they say they don't want to be interviewed, now I absolutely know, like usually on a first date, that can feel very interviewing, right? Because you haven't really felt them out to even know their style of communication.
Right.
Are they saying that beyond that first date, when you're really just sort of diving into knowing who the person is, they still are uncomfortable with you just asking about their life in general?
So I think because I'm a therapist, I try not to tell people, but it just comes down because I'm my mature age. Why am I going to lie about what I do?
Plus, if you talk about your careers and think that's a general conversational type of thing.
And so people automatically think that I'm therapizing them. But this is what I always say, okay?
I like that you use that word. We therapize.
It's what I use. But this is what I always say. Listen, you ain't getting me no insurance card. You ain't getting me no money. My price is too expensive for you. I am not going to waste my time
But you cannot afford my billable hours.
You can't afford my billable hours.
But
So
why am I going? If he can't afford it, why would we date him?
Well, so they usually can. But
she said, no. Let me be clear.
They usually can.
I don't. But
at the same token, like this is not a transactional. This is
right.
not transactional.
Facts.
Yeah. This is me trying to get to know you, and
right.
In order for me to get to know you, I have to ask questions.
So, is there a way that we can ask questions? Because I hear this a lot. Like when you ask questions and men get offended, it's like, is it because they don't like being interrogated or whatever? But is it possible that we, as women, the way that I've been told that I'm aggressive when I ask questions because I like clarity and the way that I ask things to get a very straight answer.
And to quote my cousin, to be clear is to be kind.
Yes, there we go. See? But is there a way to ask questions of somebody to where you don't feel like you're interviewing them, but it feels conversational and welcoming?
So I'm going to say yes. In my personal life, no. I'm bland. So yes, there is a way to ask questions. But the way to ask questions is actually to have them naturally come up in natural conversation. So, if we are conversing right now about red flags and asking questions, I'm not going to say, where'd you buy your shirt from? That's that's out of left field. So that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Right. So, but I mean, thinking about Lee's story where the guy was offering her the information of, I have 5 vehicles. Wouldn't you say that is a natural response to inquire, just like, oh, well, what kind of cars do you drive? That's in the line of questioning of the topic, right?
Yeah, it's a natural response. I mean, it's in the line of questioning, but this is the thing. He was probably lying about them 5 cars. One or 2 of them cars was his mama's. Another one was girlfriend down the block. One was his brother's. He probably only got one, and one was his own boy that he be on
at the trap house
with. So they weren't all his.
In the corner.
And then he was probably cars that he was working on. So it's not like they was like BMWs. He was just I got 5 cars. And you were gonna be like, oh yeah.
I will say I only got to see 2 of the cars in person, and they were not great.
Yes.
They were old. Like, it's kind of like that person that'd be like, "Ooh, I got a BMW," and then you see it and be like a 1987. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like,
"Your car is older than me, sir."
That part, yeah. Well, see, we all went all the way back in the 1900s.
That's the kind of thing.
But in the 1900s, we're talking about a 20-year-old car, 23-year-old car,
right.
Almost a 24-year-old car.
Minimum.
Let's not brag about that.
Yeah. That is good. So, okay. So when we have a scenario like this where someone gives you a red flag, do you feel like there's an opportunity for them to fix that red flag? Or is the red flag like, once you recognize it, it should be the cutoff? Do people deserve like a second chance or to fix their red flags?
So in my mature age, I'm going to say no. When I was younger, yes, I allow people to fix the red flag.
Okay.
But in my mature age, I now, and in my mature dating life now, I now decipher between red flags, yellow flag, and orange flag. Okay?
I need to know the difference between orange and yellow. Let's talk about that.
Get into it.
Yes.
All right. So yellow flag is the flags that's like caution. It's like the stoplight. Caution. Proceed with caution.
Okay.
I see those flags. They're not quite red. They are like, okay, I see that you didn't treat that waiter, waitress too well.
I mentioned that before.
I'm going to see it, but I'm going to proceed, but I'm noticing it, right?
Right.
If it happens again, it's deuce out, right? So that's a yellow flag. The orange flag is probably the next step where it's like, okay, it's actually turned into turn into red. So the orange flag is like, I am making my exit strategy right now. And so then when the red flag comes up, your exit strategy is already made. You're already saying deuces. No second guessing anything. You're just doing it. You're gone.
Is there ever a time where the red flag comes out before the yellow and orange flag?
Absolutely. And that's when you leave now. You leave quickly.
See, and I've been in scenarios where, and maybe I'm just not thinking it through enough in my dating game, but there was a guy who I dated who had, at the time that I knew of, 7 kids.
Yeah.
And all my friends were like, abort.
Now what?
Get out. And actually, it turned out he actually had 8 kids. I found out a little bit later. But I was like, it's not.
At some point, you stop counting.
At some point, I'm just like, oh, we're all family. But I think I overlooked that red flag because I felt that I thought I knew the person enough to know that these things, his youngest child was 16. So this wasn't like a new scenario. This was who you were.
Right.
And it's not who you are today. So I was put in that, everyone deserves a second chance at love. And if this is someone who really wants to invest, like, I'm clearly not raising these children.
Right.
So, but looking back, I absolutely should have known that the trajectory of where that was going.
Yeah, that was a bright orange flag.
As bright orange, that wasn't red?
So let's just be honest. In our younger years, we do some very interesting things and get us in some very interesting, situations, right? So, I mean, having 7 kids and then trying to be 8 is a lot. Was he married? Like, there's some questions. Was he married?
True.
Was it by two different women?
How many baby moms was it?
Relationship, like that type of stuff.
I think there was at least 4.
Okay, so that's a red flag. That's a red flag.
And
And
so,
this was when you were younger.
no.
Or was this recently?
This was like within the last 2 years.
Okay. Oh, she know the
She
story.
does. And that's what I'm saying. So obviously red flags look different to
Right.
different people.
Right.
And I know that everyone who was in my personal circle, when they heard this, they were like, Nicole.
Right.
But that's not how I approached it.
because you are very like kind.
Very, too.
I
Hence
know.
last season's Outback Man.
Why are we bringing up last season already?
I'm just saying.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Outback
So
Man.
Heather met
I was
Outback
so
Man.
mean to
You
Outback
met-
Man.
oh, listen.
there.
Okay, so
Yeah, I do.
if you listened in on season 2, there was a lot of reference to a gentleman who was interested in me, who was a server at an Aussie
restaurant.
at an Aussie restaurant.
And being a server at the restaurant
that's not a
has
problem.
not a
That's
problem. That was not
That's
the
not
issue.
the
That's
issue.
just how we reference
it
him.
just absolutely was him as an individual. There was an issue. So Heather and I, we met up one night to have a late bite, to eat. And as we were walking into this particular establishment, I was like, dang, I don't want to come here. I have a feeling I'm going to run into this guy. And she's like, oh, I doubt it, And I'm thinking, yeah, you're right, because he usually closes at his other job. So he wouldn't be off work yet. We're going to be fine.
Right.
We walked in and this guy was sitting at the bar. He was already in there.
Talk about late nights, early mornings.
And so I was trying to ignore him, but then he got up, and when he walked back in, I made the mistake of making eye contact. Heather is like, why would you look at him? Why would you now? He's going to come over. Now he's coming over. He's coming over. He's like, hey, girl. And so, yeah,
But this is the thing. He did this in the middle of us having a conversation. So we saw him walking back in. So I turned to her like, okay, so listen, let me tell you what had happened the other day at work. And it was so crazy. We were,
Right.
I'm a friend.
Right.
So
Giving that very clear body language that
Right.
do not interrupt.
So I'm just sitting here, we're talking. And so he just leans over and then starts talking. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to give him a couple minutes.
and she did.
I gave him a couple minutes and I gave him the look and he still didn't catch it. So I said, excuse me, sir. I haven't seen my homegirl in a while. And so we are catching up. So I actually really need all of her attention right now. And so he was like, I know, but I said, I get you.
There's no but.
But like, I don't need you to be here right now.
Right.
So yeah, he made an appearance. And this was the second time in that month, because 2 weeks prior to that, I was there again with some family.
Mm-hmm.
And my gosh darn brother-in-law was like, yo, I've seen your Instagram.
Told all the business.
Yes, I was like, now he knows.
And see, he's so toxic. He probably thought you were talking about him in a good way.
In a good way. In a good way.
Like, oh, she told her family about me.
Gosh.
But
I can't show my face in that restaurant again.
You can't. We'll never go back. Because I was like, no, girl, he good. We not going to see.
And it was his day off. That's
It
why
was
he
his
was
day
there.
off.
he had time.
He was there with
Yeah,
his
time
friends.
that
I was
day,
like, so you come here after work and on your days off?
Oh,
Got it.
That's why I just had to be nice, nasty.
that old singer Michelle, she said "Nicey." I used to love that song.
So when is a dating scenario that you recognized a red flag off the bat and proceeded without caution? Anything?
Yeah. I mean, hello.
For women, so yeah.
Man. So there was this one guy, right? He was a truck driver, an in-town truck driver. Cool,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
Love it. Cool. He did it at night. Also, no problem. Now we can hang out during the day and
Nice.
at night.
Right.
You may or may not know. So you might know. So but the way he worked, the way his work schedule was, I think he went at like 9:00 and then he was done at like maybe, we'll say like 8 the next morning. It was a long shift. But he liked to talk on the phone while he was doing his work. Again, no problem while he's driving the truck. That they do that all the time. That's what truck drivers do.
Right.
Shout out to the truck driver. Okay. So he was doing that, But what I realized is that like he was only talking about himself. So we would literally be on the phone for like hours, and I was like, oh dang, oh really? Oh, that's cool. Like that's all I would say. So what I ended up doing, right? Let me tell you how the story ended, because it ended. So I kept on with this guy because, like, you know, before, like during the day, we're cool, we're talking, he's good.
Right.
We go out to dinner and lunch and everything's good. But I would try to get a word in, and then he would always bring it back to him. So for like a week straight, he would be talking, and I would just hang up the phone. Boop. And then in the morning, he would call and be like, "Oh, I would say, oh, I fell asleep," because it would be late at night. Oh, I fell asleep. Until one time, until the last time.
You sleep? Nah, sleeping, but I ain't sleep yet.
Until the last time, I hung it up, and neither one of us called back.
And that was just it.
That was it. And we were talking for some months too.
So he is never interested in you. Is this narcissist behavior?
No.
What is this?
I know what this was. This was he hasn't been in a relationship for a while. Probably a lot of bit of nervousness, but also I need somebody to talk to.
So question though, but playing devil's advocate, did you ever tell him that he wasn't allowing you to talk, or did you just start hanging up on him randomly and that was it? Because that kind of feels like a red flag.
Click.
A little bit.
So that actually goes to some of my red flags.
But, she's like, I recognize this. I acknowledge.
So I actually was like, hey, can you let me, we was talking about me.
Oh.
He said, oh, my bad. And so he would continue to talk.
Oh.
But then I would talk about me. But then he would
bring it back. Gotcha.
That was just one of them. I have more stories.
So I want to hear, what is the worst red flag, like maybe a person that you dated was like the worst red flag that you had experienced, and how did it impact the actual relationship? Yeah. And then what was the outcome?
So there's this one guy a couple years ago. We ain't like each other for real.
Red flag number one.
No, I don't like
I know I don't like you, but we still talking.
We gonna date.
You actually might have met this one, Nick. So we actually didn't like each other for real. But it was like right after COVID, it was like, I was by myself for COVID. He was by himself for COVID. We talking. And conversation on the phone was amazing.
Okay.
Conversation in person wasn't as amazing, but it was still good.
Okay.
It was still good. We had a little bit of fun together, but physically we didn't like each other. We actually went on a whole vacation.
I remember now.
We went,
where'd y'all go?
But the reason to the beach. But the reason why we went on the vacation is because we booked it back when we were like, yeah, I kind of like you. But then
you had to go because it was already.
It was.
Oh my gosh.
I'm at the beach. Trying to get this man all my cookies. He didn't want no cookies. He want no cookies. That's what.
Wait, how far was the beach?
It was probably 4 hours away. No, probably longer. Maybe 4 to 5 hours away.
Okay.
So it's not like you took a flight?
No, we didn't take a flight.
So what was the car drive like? Was it awkward silence?
Yeah, we were on the way back. Absolutely, on the way back, I drove. Well, we drove my car, and on the way back, I was speeding. I'm trying to get home.
She said, I gotta find a Cookie Monster because you ain't it.
I got to go. We're done. So yeah. So and it definitely impacted the whole relationship because we both were playing.
Did you guys speak to each other after this trip?
We did.
Was there ever a recap of the trip?
Yes, in sort.
And obviously, you know how you felt and what led to it. Did he provide any explanation as to his actions? I think it's safe to assume that if you're going to go on any sort of a trip,
overnight trip especially,
right, with a guy that you are supposedly interested in,
3 days, so it's too long.
Too long. She just needed an overnighter, and she had 3 days. Right. So, but why didn't that happen? Did he say why?
It was a couple years ago. I don't necessarily think he said why, but I know us talking about it, and I was just like, I don't understand. It's not like he had the cookies before, and he actually got the cookies after.
Oh.
So it was just on this trip.
Did he have a Did he have a STD?
Well, if he did, I never got anything. I'll say that.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe he was on some medication and he couldn't perform for those days.
She's saying, okay, so we had a scenario where I was supposed to link up with somebody who I have linked up with before, and he decided he wanted to be on a spiritual cleanse on a planned link up and didn't want to have right. And so she made this whole
I
scenario about how he had chlamydia.
Oh yeah.
She's like, he's got chlamydia. She said because y'all ain't exclusive. So he went back to where he's from, dated, messed around with somebody, got chlamydia, came back here, realized he had chlamydia, so he had to tell you something, so he blamed God. And so now
that's what
anytime somebody don't want the cookie, she automatically thinks they have chlamydia.
So I don't necessarily think I don't think that there was an STD involved because, like I said, he got it afterwards, and it wasn't too far afterwards that he got it. So I don't think there was an STD involved. I literally just think it was just like we literally don't like each other.
So if you didn't like him and he didn't like you,
it was a vacation, man. It was a vacation.
She said,
but did you say that from jump, like when you guys first met, that you guys really weren't that into each other to begin with, or were you actually into him in the beginning?
It was mediocre. I mean, it was like, we're all right, we're cool. Like,
were you trying to trying to figure it out?
I was trying to figure it out.
Give him a chance.
Yeah, not like make it work, but like, there were no red flags.
Gotcha.
There were no red flags. And so like the only quote unquote red flag it was like, do I actually really like this guy? Does he not even do I actually really, does he actually really like me?
Yeah. Interesting, because I know that when I meet someone and I like them off bat, I don't know that I'm booking any kind of retreat with them,
but this
so quickly.
I can't say that
for at least like 3 months. So like that's what I'm saying. It went way longer than it should have went.
You
booked by that time,
right?
Okay.
By that time, and then we went another month because we had to wait for the
gotcha. Oh,
I can't say that I haven't booked a trip really quickly. It does. It can be. Gotta be spontaneous sometimes and learn.
I'm the worst at being spontaneous.
You overplan. In fact, you plan for other people to have failed dates.
Well,
she does.
It would have worked had he followed through.
Gotcha. Okay, so question: when you have a friend and you recognize that your friend is aside, this one aside,
I was gonna say
because she got all the ones.
What about me?
But when you see that your friend is dating somebody, talking to somebody, or engaging with somebody, and you're seeing these red flags, or maybe they're even talking to you about the red flags, but they keep ignoring them. What do you do?
Okay, so my client work is very different than my friend life. So my therapy life is very different than my friend life. So in therapy, I'll go both. Okay. In my therapy life, I'd be like, girl, that's a red flag. I'm gonna need you to stop talking to that person. Period. Like I come out the cuff. I am, straight.
Right.
With my friends, I'll tell them, and if they choose to do what they want to do, they grind. They gonna do it. They gonna do what they want.
Got you.
Which is what I did with this one. And yes, I'm pointing to you. I say, hey, I don't necessarily think that this is the right person for you.
Right.
Is this what we were talking about? What you want for your life? Like, I know what you want for your life. Does this person fall in line with it? It doesn't? Okay, cool. Then but you still want to be with them?
Right.
Okay, cool. Do you? For my clients, I'll be on their tail like, no, we're not doing this. But
cut it off.
Cut it off. Right. But for my friends, I will let them go ahead and do what they want to do, be grown, fall, and I'll be here. But I try not to say, I told you so. I tell my clients, I tell you so.
She said, that's so mean. What if
it's
really,
not.
What they're really struggling?
That's what they're paying for. That's what they're paying for.
But
if
my therapist was like, bitch, I told you so, I'd be like, fuck you.
Well, and I said, no. So that's what I'm saying. My clients say no. They'd be like,
right.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's true, because if you find a good therapist and you know how they talk to you, then you know what to expect when you make a bad decision.
It's not right off the bat. It's not my it's my clients that I've had for.
Right. So is there ever a time where a friend ignores your advice and continues on, but they still complain? Do you ever have to back away from a friendship due to them not seeing or not dealing with their red flags? Or
yeah, I won't back away from a friendship.
Okay.
But if the friend keeps talking about it, I will kind of back away from that conversation.
Gotcha.
Being a person that communicates very well, I think, but some people won't say that. But being a person that communicates, I know how to twist conversations. Let's move the conversation around. So I'll just gently move the conversation around, then to kind of stay on the conversation. But I won't back away from the friendship altogether.
Is there ever a time that I guess we kind of asked this, but a red flag has been fixed and you were okay with it? I know you said in this stage of your life now, you're like, no. Has there ever been a time maybe someone had a red flag that maybe they didn't know was a red flag and they were given the opportunity to be like, okay, let me fix that part of me, and then it worked out? Or a red flag is just kind of who you are? The face she's making is
I mean, for example, you talked about the one guy, and I don't know if this was a real situation, but how he addressed a waiter, a server.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So to your point, if
Right.
he doesn't realize that, you're talking to these people like they're peasants,
Right.
and yes, they are serving you, but you're treating them like servants.
Right.
And then he realizes and recognizes, is that a fixable red flag, or is that something where you're like, I'm not even trying to give you the time to work on that?
Yeah, that's a yellow flag, remember?
Right.
So,
So you don't walk away from yellow.
I don't walk away from yellow. Yellow.
Okay, that's a good
yellow.
clarification.
Proceed with caution.
Yeah.
But proceed.
Right. Okay.
So that's a yellow flag. That's like you treated them kind of rude. Like, how's your day going? Like, what's going on?
So the red flag is like the dead, like you are stuck in your
The
ways. It's-
non-negotiables.
Yeah. Okay.
Go.
Are there red flags? Oh, so in your line of work, have you noticed that, like, is there a red flag for one person that's not a red flag for somebody else?
Yeah.
And in that, do you think that's actually true? Like, is like a red flag for this client and not this client, but it really should be a red flag for everybody? Like, how does that work?
So everybody's red flags are different.
Okay.
I do not believe in everybody is the same. So I don't think we're all going to have the same red flag.
Right.
One of my red flags is having 8 kids or having 7 kids.
Uh-huh.
That's not her red flag.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
It is, but it wasn't for him.
if anybody rolled up on me, whether I
Right.
knew him for a long time or not, that has 7 kids,
Understood.
I'm going to look at you like, what you been doing in life?
He been busy.
Obviously.
He been cracking people.
Cracking them.
back. Back he blown out. He blown out back.
Yes.
So yes. Red flags are not, a red flag is not universal. There are some universal
Okay.
red flags like controlling,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
things like that are universal, but there are some red flags that just aren't universal. Some people don't care how people treat, the wait staff. I do.
There's someone who I know who in their past was labeled a womanizer and an abuser, especially towards women.
Do I know this person? Okay.
And as he has grown, these truths about his past still go with him, even though he has not struck a woman in many, many years. I mean, we're saying well over a decade. Like, that's not who he is anymore. He did the work and worked on himself. He got the therapy. He did all those things. But to this day, that stigma still doesn't leave him. Is that, when you think about your non-negotiable red flags and things that could either have work applied to them, is that something there where you would still, is that a proceed with caution, or is that still a red flag for you if this person were to approach you and want to date you with having that type of past?
It depends on a couple of things. I think I know who you're talking about. For me, that's a red flag for that person.
I understand.
But it's also, I know you do. But I also think it's a red flag for me for that person because I was there
Because you know that person.
I know that person and I knew that person when things were happening.
Yeah. So it's different when you
So it's
experience
different when you
it.
experience
Yeah.
it. So, but if I just met this person in the streets and, we began dating and then I found out these things about him, or he was like, let me just tell you what my reputation is.
Right.
As long as that is a proceed with caution, because it's harder when you have firsthand knowledge to
True.
Yeah.
to
overlook it.
To overlook it. Yeah, I got firsthand knowledge of that.
Yeah. So of course we are actually talking about the same scenario, and I think I know I'm the same way, and I think I have the same experience of you, is that because I'm too close to the subject matter, where I have more or less firsthand knowledge, not what I heard.
Exactly.
Right.
Person.
Right.
That would be something for me that it would make it incredibly hard to overlook and look past.
But I hear you, because I feel like they have like those sayings, like once a cheater, always a cheater, and that may not always be true.
Not always
Right.
true.
Right. Okay.
Especially because people are cheating for different reasons. So we
True.
can't really apply that to physically harming someone, because there's usually never a good reason to put hands on somebody. It's like, use
Never.
your words,
Right.
find other outlets. But the cheating piece
Right.
of it is, well, we don't really know the circumstance in their relationship. Did somebody actually have an open pass, but they violated the rules?
Right.
So it's like there's
Right.
different
Is
versions of
cheating
that.
a red flag?
Is cheating a red flag?
Previous-
Previous cheating. No, I
How
think,
recent though? I guess does it matter?
I guess that would be it. How recent?
see, and for me, I try hard not to dive too much into what didn't work in someone's previous relationship, because I think it's unfair to apply someone's past and what we're trying to do with their future.
Okay.
So, like maybe I met a man who's recently divorced. The reason for their divorce was that he stepped outside of their marriage.
Okay.
I can't sit here and apply what happened in his previous whole marriage to what we're trying to maybe do going forward. Maybe they just weren't compatible anymore.
Right.
Maybe,
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of reasons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try to give him
That's a proceed with caution. Because if you guys weren't compatible anymore, why'd you feel the need to step out versus communicate? So that's a proceed with caution for me.
Yeah, I agree. I just try not to hold it against them, but it is a
Is cheating
log.
Is cheating in your current relationship a red flag?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I
don't want to necessarily leave somebody for cheating, but it's a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know in our last season we had the guest who talked about how she had been cheated on and kept taking the person back, and she didn't seem too fazed by the fact that he cheated.
Probably used to it at some point.
Yeah.
And desensitized if it's a pattern.
Right. And so I just wonder, like, again, I guess you say for some people red flags are different. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
What is I had a good question and now it lost because y'all was going in on your little conversation. I'm just over here like a basketball going back and forth.
Well, aside from the guy with the multiple vehicles that had an issue with you questioning him, have there been any other red flags that you've seen in the dates you've been on, or
Oh, yeah, I've had
other than
for
him not
me-
paying for
girl,
the meal
that
after they
part.
invited you out?
Yeah, if you invite me out and don't pay, that's a huge red flag for me. For me, a lot of red flags boil down to communication because I'm a huge communicator. I require a lot of clarification and clarity when you say something. So I'm very much a black and white sometimes when you say something to me. And so if you cannot speak, and if I ask you a very direct question and you don't give me a direct answer, I feel some kind of way. So a guy that I had been talking to, we hung out, maybe out of state, out of country, possibly.
Good Lord.
And
I
I
love it.
was asking very specific questions like, what are your expectations if we go on this trip? What are your expectations when I get there? What happens? And it was just very vague. But my understanding of the language he was using, I was okay with. When we got there, his definition of what he told me was something totally different. Therefore, the trip was not what I had anticipated because he used language that had a definition that was different than what I had understood. And so for me, that was a red flag because I was like, I asked you a very direct question. You gave me a mildly vague answer, which I interpreted a different way. And we could have had some good clarification prior to, which would have saved some hassle. So for me, those are red flags. I'll probably say like in my marriage, I had a lot of red flags that I ignored, but I also blame that on being young when we got together.
But were there red flags as you were older in the marriage too that you still stayed?
The red flags from when we were younger carried through and became the reason we did not work out because he could not fix those red flags and it became too toxic.
Yeah.
So the things that I didn't like early on where I was like, but I was being hard-headed. I didn't want no one, I got friends, family telling you, don't do that. And I want to be like, you can't tell me what to do. Oh, we going to make it work. And we made it work for a very long time. We lasted a lot longer than a lot of other people did in their marriages. But I probably would have been better off if I had paid attention to those red flags and stuck, But again, being young and not knowing.
And I think for me, because most of my relationships are fairly short, even though I do pass some very noticeable red flags, I also am quick to understand that I don't want to continue this.
Right.
I may see the red flag and I may say, you know what, okay, this is an issue, but let's just see. And then usually my gut instinct is right. And so those relationships are pretty short.
So what about the accountability part for us? Like, what are your red flags?
Okay. I have one really huge red flag. I'm gonna blame it on my zodiac sign.
What are you?
I'm not a ghoster.
What does she got? No, I'm sorry. What's your zodiac sign? Because the way
I'm
you
a Sagittarius.
Oh, okay. We're toxic as hell sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And petty as fuck.
Sometimes, not all the time.
These Sag. Go ahead.
So if I'm not feeling you or you're not giving me any excitement, I'll just like ghost you. And ghost you. I'm trying to put some extras and put it nice and make it nice and sweet. No. So it is not uncommon for instance, for right now, I am like overwhelmed. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on in my life, right?
Okay.
And so I am talking to a couple different guys, because I'm dating. That's what we do when we date.
That part.
And they like texting me and stuff, but I'm just kind of not responding because I'm overwhelmed. My head is buried and I'm doing what I got to do. They're not giving me anything to get me excited, to pull me out, or to even give me a break really quickly. So why am I actually going to engage in that? So ain't nobody talking about no trips. So it's like,
She needs that beach bag.
I listen. So it's like, what are we doing? So I would say that my red flag is that I may or may not always be very communicative if I don't feel like I'm really attached.
Okay. What are your red flags?
I think that I over communicate. I think that I probably talk their ear off. I text maybe too much. I'm a big texter. Okay. I would rather text than talk on the phone to you. In fact, the only times that I want to actually be on the phone is if I'm in my car. I don't like sitting on my phone if I'm at home, really. I don't like picking up the phone and just calling somebody throughout the day. But I mean, there are exceptions.
Right.
And so with guys, I feel more comfortable texting. And I know some people are like, why don't we talk? Why don't we actually call each other more? But I will still, I'll write you books. Okay. That blue bubble on the iPhone you have to swipe up 3 times before you get to the bottom of it.
Them dots be going.
Why do you want to write books instead of have a conversation? That's more personal.
It's more comfortable for me, I think. Sometimes I feel like when I'm just on the phone with you, if it's a guy, I feel like sometimes I'm carrying the conversation.
Oh, God.
And so then it feels like a little bit of awkward silence. Yeah. But if you're texting, it allows room for that awkward silence to be there because you were busy with something.
Right. Okay.
But unless I am talking to someone that is like a best friend that we can fill that time of dead air with nonsense, I'd rather text. Yeah. What's your
red flag?
My red flag is I entertain bullshit out of boredom.
Out of boredom.
Out of boredom. And I recognize it. I will wholeheartedly answer an inbox because it is hilarious to me. And I will tell all my friends about this funny, stupid ass conversation that I had. And then they'll give me ideas of what else to say and we'll go back and forth. And I also, because of that, though, I find myself getting in too deep with people that I have no interest in whatsoever because I've now gotten bored. But I also do kind of get attached to the conversation sometimes because even though I'm not interested in this person, I still like having that person to talk to. I'm very much a person that I like male energy. And so I find myself being more talkative with men than I am with women. Like, I'll talk to my friends when I need to, or, if we have a funny story to talk about, we will. But I will go out of my way to talk to a man, not because I need a man, but I just enjoy that energy more.
I'm so used to it.
That's true, because I was in a long-term relationship. That is very true. I never thought. Girl, she therapizing me right now.
I'm not terrified.
And maybe that's why I don't like to talk on the phone, because I'm used to not actually talking to someone as much. I'd rather just it be short, intimate little
revelation.
But you know what I do find funny about you is that you will entertain the BS conversations, but then you'll tell us not to respond. It's like, girl, don't respond. Leave them on red is what she told me this morning.
It was.
I sent this. I was like, I don't know this person, and they have now like crept into my inbox because they've just been liking all my photos.
Let's see. Oh, we like that.
Oh, no. We actually, we do, but I don't think this one is attractive that I know of. We'll see. But she was like, leave that boy on red, so I did. But she would have responded. Like the other day, somebody inboxed me asking if I needed a sugar daddy. And
why do I get those inboxes? I want those
I'm sure it's a bot. I'm sure this cannot be a real person because it came through like an ad, like, hey. Hey,
do you breathe at night?
Are you? I've been looking at your page, and I'm just wondering if you are in need of a sugar daddy. Let me know. And I'm listening, like, look at here, little silver fox. No, I don't need no sugar daddy.
I would have said absolutely.
That's why I was like, listen, we got
the Cash App here.
I would have carried that conversation for a minute.
We got some bills that need to be paid up at the studio. Let me holler at you.
I have had them. I've had those DMs before, and I have had to poll my friends because I was like, what is a Cash App service? Not necessarily Cash App itself, but what is a service that I could use that would not run the risk of getting hacked, my bank account, whatever? Because you have to attach a bank account to all of them. So I'm like, what? I was like, and then I was like, can I get, girl, I was trying to get the money wired to me. I was like, can you just
Western Union.
Western Union.
I need an African prince and from Nigeria to Western Union me some money. I really tried it because I was like, let me find out.
I almost responded to the sugar daddy one because I was thinking about bills that we have, and I was like, oh, maybe. But then I was like, at the same time, I knew I was getting spammed. Like, I don't really feel like having my page has already been cloned, and so
she is famous. She got cloned.
Another friend of ours sent me a screen grab. He's like, Bestie, I think he's like, I just got a friend request from you, and I know it's not you. He's like, you've been cloned. Oh, boy. Yeah, and I was like, I'm famous.
You are famous.
Yeah. Like, they used a cute picture for my profile and everything. They thought it through. I was like,
they did.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, but I'm not jealous.
Right. That's right.
Like, I don't think I want that level of fame, but I'm like, I want someone to want to be me.
Either way, that's why I didn't engage.
It
I
was
like,
me.
you know what? It was you that cloned my page. Gosh, dang it.
It was awesome that it inboxed you about being a sugar daddy.
Same. So you have multiple fake pages.
I'm a whole catfish.
A whole catfish. You got a Finsta.
I have a Finsta, a Sinsta.
At least 2 of them.
I have all the things. I do want to know, though, for somebody who may be in a relationship, seeing these red flags, wanting to get out, but maybe feels like they can't. What are some like tips, tools, resources that they might be able to utilize to try to exit a situation?
Definitely get a good support system. So create that support system because your support system is they're actually people that will help you get out.
Okay.
Getting out of red flag situations. I mean, if it's just a red flag, you don't live with them and it's, you're not super duper attached, then I'm going to say run, press block, and, those type of things. But if you're like, kind of living with them, that actually borders more on toxic and borders more on
abusive.
And so, I'll definitely get you a support system and make a plan.
So it's interesting you talk about block or delete the person. So the one here sitting next to me, she actually got into my phone and blocked and deleted somebody for me.
Okay.
I made the decision to unblock that person later, but I'm glad I did. Why are you glad? Because that person called my phone when we were at the restaurant to verify that his number went through. And I thought, how awkward would this have been if you had still been blocked? And then he called me to be like, and then I felt like that would have been a whole nother discussion. So I can ghost you without
blocked. There's no discussion,
right? Because remember he called and he was like, "Let me see," because I tried to act like I didn't see the text.
I just want to point out that we're talking about Outback. Here's a whole problem. My thing is, if you left him blocked, it would have been awkward, but he would have got the hint.
He still has the hint. Like, he hasn't messaged me since we were at that table.
Because you had a really mean friend with you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to bring mean friends with me then. That's the best.
Don't call me mean.
I don't mean not me direct. You are direct.
Right. No, very much.
But my thing is that I felt like had he not been blocked, or had he been blocked and he tried to call me, because I did try to say, oh, I didn't see your message, to explain why I didn't respond to him. It's just more dialogue, more conversation, me feeling like I have to explain anything as he's standing there. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to leave him on red.
Understood.
And not to say that blocking, because I actually have blocked some people on my phone who I know I don't run into because I don't live near them. But for him specifically, since he keeps popping up when I'm out and about, I was like, it's easier for me this way.
This is the thing, though. Why do you think he requires or has the respect enough of you in order for you to feel uncomfortable if he's blocked and him knowing that he's blocked?
Just because I'm a naturally guilty person, I feel a lot of guilt towards potentially hurting people's feelings, even if it's not my responsibility to protect their feelings. It's just the makeup of me that I'm like, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be mean to you. So instead of blocking you, I just won't respond to you.
I want you to think about it. Now you're not being mean, you're being direct. And you're creating boundaries. That's a boundary created. Well, that's a whole nother.
Well, I did create the boundary by not ever going out with him. I told him, I said, we're not.
You went back on your own.
I'm going to tell you something that I learned. Boundaries are not something that you create for other people to not cross. Boundaries are yours to not cross. So you set a boundary expecting him to not cross it, but you let your boundary down by continuing to engage.
You crossed your own boundary by unblocking.
So when you say people, when
I
people
never blocked
say,
him to begin with, though.
I know I did.
Right. That I disregarded her boundary.
Okay.
I was helping you set a boundary that you just didn't care
It wasn't
for.
my boundary.
You know what? That's fair. I take that. I take that.
But still,
So we're gonna have another season of Outback.
We have
Another season of Outback.
Why is this such a topic, man? He applies to a lot.
He applies to a lot of our stories.
Yes.
It does. It's a prime example.
Anyway.
I mean, his red flag could be that he was drinking a Budweiser at 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
well, his red flag is that he is at the bar drinking at next to his where he works, and he's not even at work. Red flag. Hi, sorry.
And this is exactly what it is, though. That's
It is. But this is good because we have to have these moments. Like, it's an accountability piece for us, like to acknowledge what our red flags are.
Yeah.
So, okay, with that being said, then, so I know what my red flag is. I know it's a red flag, and it lands me in situations that I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
How do I stop it?
You don't, because I keep encouraging it.
You are horrible. This is content for the show. She encourages my red flags.
Recognize them, name them, and do the opposite.
Mm.
So I know I go radio silence, right? So what I have tried to do, and I say try because, you know, I'm a work in progress, but what I have been doing is when I feel myself going radio silence, which is one of my red flags, I will actually be like, okay, I am not being the type of person that I want to be. Let me go ahead and do the opposite, which is reach out. Hey, I'm really overwhelmed right now. Let me holler at you when I get, you know, when I'm back, type of thing.
So I got a question though. But so like when you radio silence somebody, you ghost somebody, is it somebody that you're not interested? But like right now you said it's because you're overwhelmed. So it could be somebody that you're actually interested in, but because you're overwhelmed, you ghost them?
Somebody I could be interested in, but we haven't necessarily gotten that deep. And so
Gotcha.
it's just like, you know, at this moment, I don't have the time to build anything with you. So let me.
Is it that you don't have time to build with them, or you don't have time to build with anyone at this
That's a
point?
good question.
Oh, it's anyone, because if I was going
Okay.
to build with somebody, I will build with them because number one, they probably already got my number or something, which is really hard to do. They probably already got my number, so there's already some kind of interaction there.
Okay.
So it's probably it's build with anyone, but I'm not going out to build with anyone, so it's build with them.
Gotcha.
Why is it hard to get your number?
Because, man, I am.
What is the process to date you?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so the process to date me is, first of all, you have to have a really good conversation. I don't like the good morning queens. That can be a...
Good morning, beautiful message. It's the
morning,
same.
beautiful.
Grand
Rising.
rising. Lord.
Don't do it, fellas.
Like, this is the thing.
Wait, look in the camera and say that. Everybody pick a camera.
Camera.
Do
Don't-
not.
don't do it. I like them if I like the person, but in the grand scheme of things, I'd actually rather you not. Even if I like you, you ain't got to say good morning, queen. Like, we ain't got to do
Right.
all that.
Just say hi. And
Yeah,
start a
just say
conversation.
hi and start a conversation. So someone who's definitely they know how to communicate. They are you can be cute all day. First of all, I don't like you guys, so I put that out there. They ain't gotta be they not ugly.
Just
But they're
average.
No, not even average.
Oh.
They have to have something that's a little different about them. I don't like cute guys.
Interesting.
So as long as, like, you know, you already there, you already cute, that's cool. We'll move you to the side. You have to be able to talk to my mind. I'm a therapist. I use my mind all day. So you have to be able to talk to my mind. Let's get into some good conversations. There is a romancing of my mind that has to go on before you can romance my body or money. Like, I can buy now art. That's if I want
Romance
to.
my mind before my body. I like
before my body.
We're going to add that to a shirt.
Yes.
Romance my mind.
Not my body.
Or then
Before
my body. Was it? Say it again.
Romance my mind before my body.
Boom. Oh, she said it's sexy too. She was like, romance
Before my body. All over your body, babe.
my I'm going to be Keith Sweat.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm sure that there's not a very specific timeline. I doubt that it's like that whole 90-day thing. But would you say that the courtship that takes place either, I'm assuming online, is this, are you meeting people online because they don't have your number? Is it email?
Just because you meet everybody on.
No, I'm saying because if they don't have her phone number, but she needs to be courted in some way before she gives them a number, like, where are you meeting?
Yeah, so I mean, it can be online. If I meet somebody out, then if we have a good conversation, I'm gonna give you my phone number. It's not like, oh, you're not gonna get my phone number.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, is it like a 2 or 3 weeks of good conversation before you feel
That's too
comfortable?
long because then I have to be on. If it's on the apps, then I have to be on the apps, and I have to remember to check it. And so that's where I go radio silence because that's too much. That's too much work. Therefore, if you're just on my phone, you know, you part of my text like everybody else, it's probably easier for.
Okay,
to
but
not
then
go radio silent.
But to actually get your phone number, the work that needs to be put in isn't about time. It's about the quality.
It's about the quality.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely about the quality. It's not about the time. We could have a really, really amazing conversation right now, and I give you my number right now. Versus we could have a really good conversation that lasts a week. Don't go any longer than a week.
Yeah.
And I get bored. I get bored very quickly.
Yeah.
We have a really good conversation over a week, and then I give you my number if it's online.
You know what a red flag is for me? Is when I meet somebody online and before they have a chance to actually talk to me, it's, hey, call me.
Yep.
And we haven't spoke
I don't like that.
about anything. That absolutely turns me off. I'm like, what do you mean call you? Like,
Yeah.
get to know me. Like, I don't want to just give you my phone number.
I've had that exact conversation with a couple guys where they were like, why are we talking via Messenger or DMs? And I'm like, because I want to decide if I want to give you my number. I need to make sure there's no signs that you're crazy. Like, it's easier to block somebody on social media than it is to block them out of your phone. I mean, even though it's still the same concept, it just feels like it's another level. And so for me,
it's not personal yet when it's just online.
And for me also, like, if you block somebody from your phone, are they petty? Are they shady? Are they going to give out your information? Like, that kind of a thing.
These days, you can do a reverse search and find everything about somebody by their phone number. And look, my phone number ain't changed. So
That's facts.
Can we do that with license plates? Because
we actually can.
Okay, listen, we need to talk because I found a car that I was trying to date that man because I liked his vehicular.
That sounds like you're about to go to homicide. When that homicide that cooch.
Actually, okay,
like you love
a little gold digger. Oh, it was a beautiful car, and I don't even get into cars like that. He was average, and I already peeped him being average, and I was like, oh, I like that average Joe. Right. And then he walked to that $1 million man car, and I said, how can I follow you home?
Did you follow?
I didn't because I was hungry, so I went inside the restaurant.
But no, she sent me pictures of her feet and her hands. Because she was like, I'm glad I didn't get out of the car because I look like a whole homeless person right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, it was so sweet. But his car was, I will say the only thing we could not find was his name.
Yeah.
Because I found out his driving record, the sales history.
How did you find out his driving record without the name?
Well, maybe not the driving record, but it was the history of like no accidents, no.
Wasn't his plate Google Me?
You found the car fact.
His plate was Google Me.
So listen, everybody in the DC area.
I think he's from Baltimore.
Yes. Okay, if you have a orange BMW.
Wasn't it
an i8 or something like that?
I don't
know.
It had butterfly doors with the slip-in handles, not the ones that you pull out, but you slip your hand in and click like that.
Pay attention.
It would. Oh, and you have custom rims also. So, can you follow me?
Your license plate is Google Me.
Google Me with no E after the Google.
Y'all try to Google and y'all couldn't find it.
We did.
We did.
License plate is a whole lot.
Well, we couldn't Google.
We didn't have his name.
All we could Google was his car.
Plate. Right. We could Google his plates.
We tried.
We did try. We sat there. I was hungry.
Missed encounters. That's what I was trying to think of. On Craigslist, they had this thing called missed encounters where you can share a story. Because, Craigslist, you can sell all kinds of things. But you really can. But they had this thing called missed encounter where you can tell a story about an encounter with somebody. And people actually go to look to see if they're like, oh, like, I want to look for this person too. And some people like actually reconnect based on finding their missed encounter listed somewhere. I think it's cute.
Well, Google Beyond, we don't put Google.
We gonna put them up. But listen, on the topic of searching people and trying to find people,
I love
Miss Heather. If our guests want to find you, how can they find you and where should they find you?
Okay, so there are a few different ways to find me. If you want to find me for therapy, you can find me at Shrink Me Not. And that is Shrink Me _not on Instagram, and on Facebook is just Shrink Me Not. I also have a club called the Bougie Auntie Club, right? The Bougie Auntie Club, I love it. It's for women aged 35 to 50 who don't have kids and just out here living life.
Trying to be a member and a client and the president.
I want to give away my kids so I can join. Let's do it. I'm gonna get.
So you can find me at Bougie Auntie Club. But other than that, on Instagram, I be on Instagram.
I love it.
I be on Facebook.
So they can find you everywhere on either the Shrink Me Not or the Bougie Auntie Club.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nick P, where can they find you?
Yes. Well, I can be found on all platforms related to Dirty Roses Podcast. May that be DirtyRosesPodcast.com, our Facebook page, our Instagram. And if you want to meet me specifically, especially If you are Mr. Google Me with that beautiful car with the Baltimore Ravens t-shirt on that was at the restaurant last Thursday, you had a group party.
Oh, you can't say it.
Macaroni Grill. You were there for a group party. You walked out with a cake. Somebody had balloons.
In Virginia? Was it in Virginia?
This was on the Virginia side over there in Kingstown Highway.
You got a name
If you
on
could,
Got a name on
if you could inbox, slide into my DMs
Slide into her
at
email.
Nick B. That's Nick with a K, and that's on Instagram. Leela Ree, how can we find you?
First of all, I'm going to edit this video clip.
You shouldn't though.
And I'm not edit it out. I'm going to edit to that part. And we're going to replay this on every platform. We're going to get you a man. This man probably a whole Mary.
Listen, he probably is. Gosh dang it, but we can hope that he's not.
Well, I do before I tell you where you can find me.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all noticed we got these cupcakes on here, which I want y'all to eat. Because DB Dessert Company here in Portland does a lot of custom cupcakes, cakes. They got cake pops. They have crazy shakes. We got a crazy shake earlier today, me and my son. Bomb. And I'm telling you, these are bomb. And I know that you make cupcakes in DC, but if you're in Portland, I'm going to need y'all to go to DB Dessert Company on Alberta. She's got a location in Rockwood too. But we're going to tear these up. And while we tear them up, y'all can look, y'all can Google me. No, I'm saying, Google me. I'm on all social media platforms under Leela Ree, LeighlaRie, every single platform. And of course, you can find us on DirtyRosesPodcast.com and Dirty Roses Podcast on all platforms. You can listen to all of our shows. Catch up on season 1 and season 2 if you have not caught up already. And then we will catch y'all next time.
Next episode.
Thank you.
Guess what, Rose Buddies? We are thrilled to introduce our new sponsorship packages. Be sure to hit us up at DirtyRosesPodcast.com to inquire how we can showcase your brand on our platforms.